DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Topic of this video is catch up. That's the subject here today, and I'm thinking about this because I'm driving in Miami right now. Any of you follow the real estate market, or you follow anything that's happening in Miami, you know that, or if you're in Miami, you know that the market down here for any kind of real estate, whether you are renting, buying, whatever, actually the best thing to be right now in the real estate game is a salesperson, a real estate salesperson, because the market is crazy right now. Prices of everything are going up, and I saw this article. It wasn't even an article. You probably call it a blog post that a Business Insider did about a month ago, and they were just talking about how the prices of everything is going up and how people are coming from out of town, and people who they had means, they're coming in, they're basically outbidding people for rentals. And I remember I had a friend this had to be about a year ago, so this has been happening for a minute. About a year ago, I knew this couple, and they were talking about how they were trying to find a house to buy. And the challenge of finding a house to buy is every time they saw a house that they might be interested in, they made an appointment, like, all right, we're gonna go see this house tomorrow. And then by the time tomorrow came to go see the house, someone else had bought the house, not because they saw it before them, but because people were buying houses without even looking at them. People were buying houses just straight up, like, all right, we just bought the house. My video got interrupted there, but people were straight up just buying houses without even looking at them. People were just straight up sight unseen to basically knock other people out of the market. And with all of this happening, the prices of things going up, the cost of everything going up, we know that there's been a lot of conversation about raising the minimum wage. Now, I'm from Philadelphia, so for whatever reason, I'm getting all these emails from this guy who is running for governor in the state of Pennsylvania. I don't know how I ended up on that list. And I was about to unsubscribe, but I kept reading them. I want to see how these people go about what they do. I pay attention to people's ad campaigns and marketing campaigns and how they nurture their audiences. And politics is a good way to look at it, because these people, they need that money, the donations, to win their campaigns. And anyway, this guy was talking about something that a lot of people talked about, that we need to raise the minimum wage, right? There's a certain living wage that people need to make in order to live, because $12 an hour or $13 an hour is not enough for people to live on, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I've heard people talk about this. Maybe some of you have agreed with it and said it yourself. Here's my contention, and this is the way that I look at all of life. This is not specifically about real estate or about jobs, but it's about anything that we do in life, is that it is not life's job to give you some form of handout or some kind of make good offer, so to speak, some kind of make good deal, just because the cost of life has gone up, if you have not done what's necessary to keep up with that pace. And this applies to everybody. This applies to all types of things. Listen, I recently moved. This year I moved, right? And when we moved, it was hard finding a place because these places were going so quick, first of all. Then the prices were going up. So we were looking at these places like, this place, we like this place, but it ain't worth this much money. And we're looking at all these different places, and the places are going so quick. You were calling a place like, all right, let's see this place, and then people ain't calling back. And I wrote an article about this. If you're on my email list, you saw the article, how we just showed up at a building. Like, yo, we want to see this building. And I acted like we had an appointment there, but we didn't actually have an appointment. We lied to get a showing, but they didn't even care, because they were moving the places so quick, they didn't care who showed up. As long as they came and people had that bread, they were taking the bread. That was the deal. And that's the way the game is. And I'm using that just as a microcosm, as an example. The point that I'm making here is that it's not the economy's job or some politician's job to get you more money, minimum wage workers out there. If you're a minimum wage worker, then the problem is not that their living wage needs to be higher for you to keep up. The problem is you have not improved your skills to be more than a minimum wage employee. And that's why you're in a situation of you're going to the government saying, hey, government, help me, save me, because my skills haven't kept up with the increasing cost of living. So now I need somebody to hand me more money because I'm not worth any more than what I'm getting. Your job is to keep up with the pace. Actually, your job is not to keep up with the pace. You keep up with the pace and you remain average, you remain neutral. Your job is for your skills to increase faster than the pace of life increasing. So if it costs $10, if you could get by on $10 an hour 20 years ago, but now you need $30 an hour to get by, then you need to be up at $35 an hour right now. I'm using just that as an example. But you shouldn't be looking at life or the government or a Democrat or a Republican or any company, Starbucks, Apple, etc., and saying, oh, well, they need to pay us more money because it costs more to live these days. No, you need to get better because it costs more to live these days. I saw an article recently that said Apple employees had voted, I believe it was somewhere in the DMV area. I think it might have been Baltimore, but I might be wrong about that. They voted to unionize, and they were all celebrating, and it was like a party because they had all decided they're going to unionize, which I guess they believe is going to get them more money as far as their hourly salary goes. And I guess their argument was, well, not I guess, but I've seen their argument was, well, look, it costs more money to live these days, so Apple needs to pay us more money. So I assume that their whole mindset is, all right, we get the union together, that Apple had to pay us more money, so we'll get more money for our jobs. The way I would look at it is, look, if you're working at the Apple store and the Apple store isn't paying you enough money for you to live the way that you want to live, regardless of what it is, you could be a minimum wage person just trying to get by, you could be trying to live the high life. If Apple's not paying you enough money to live the way you want to live, then either go find yourself another job, start yourself a business, find a way to make the money that you want to make. But don't look at the company and say, y'all should just give us more money because it costs more to live. No, that's the opposite. That's the backwards way of looking at it. What I call that is hustling backwards. Even if you get it. So let's say Starbucks doubles their minimum wage. So now everybody working at Starbucks, you're making twice as much as you're making right now. You're still in the same position of looking at the company or looking at some organization or whatever entity, the government, a company, a politician, whoever, to give you what you feel like you need so that you can be at the level that you're supposed to be at. That's hustling backwards. You're hustling for a handout instead of hustling for naming your own price. What you want to do is write your own paycheck. You want to write your own price tag, and writing your own paycheck doesn't necessarily mean you have to be an entrepreneur. Writing your own paycheck just means you step your skills up to the level that you got multiple opportunities in front of you, and you get to pick the one that's going to give you what you want. But if you're in the situation of coming with your hand out and your hat in your hand, asking somebody to give you something simply because you feel like you need it and what you're getting right now is not enough, you're in a bad spot. You haven't done the work to increase your marketplace value so that the marketplace has to meet your demands rather than you going to the marketplace and asking for something. All right, you should be able to demand it, and you demand it based on your game, the way you perform out here. That's why I told you, and I did a video on this in the past. I've done podcasts on it as well. The most important thing about you at work is not what the minimum wage is. It's not what the quote unquote living wage is. It's not how much a company should give you. It's your game. And when your game is strong enough and your game is producing the results that you need to produce, you're performing, you're producing the results that the company can measure, then you can go to the company and say, look, based on the results that I'm producing, this is what I want. And if you don't give me this, then I'm going to go to another entity that's going to give me what I want. And because you are so valuable, that company is going to listen. And they're going to say, oh, damn, we don't want to lose you. All right, what do you want? All right, let's give it to them. And if the company doesn't want to do that, then you also have the option of, I'll go out into the open marketplace and get it myself. Meaning either getting yourself another gig, or you can start your own business doing the same thing you're doing for that company, but now doing it for yourself. And now you got what you want. But the whole point is you got to keep up with the pace. If the cost of living goes up, then the cost of your game got to go up. And if the cost of your game is not going up at the same pace of the cost of living, then you're the one who's messing up. You're the one who's behind. You're the one who's slipping right now. You're the one who's hustling backwards, looking at the government or looking at Starbucks or looking at Apple or whoever you work for, the pizza shop, to give you more money. All right, that ain't the way the game is supposed to work. Now, I understand right now with all the wokeness and the social justice and all that stuff is working right now, but understand that stuff's not going to keep working. All right, that's the thing you need to keep in mind. It's working now, it ain't going to keep working. There's going to come a day when the faucet is turned off and either you got the game or you don't. Either you can afford to go write your own paycheck or you can't. And if you can't, then you're just going to be out on the street. You're just going to be out on your ass. That's the game. That's the real deal. Right now is the fairy tale deal that people can complain, well, I ain't getting enough. They should just give me more just because. All right, that's the fairy tale game. This fairy tales end, folks. Any of you got a kid, you know, you read your kid a bedtime story, eventually you get to the end of the book. All right, then there's a new chapter that has to be opened up. That's the chapter that a lot of you going to get woken up with, smacked upside your head with that new book if you don't catch up right now. So make sure you are catching up, keeping your game at the pace it needs to be at. So text me to get my daily motivation. My number is 305-384-6894. And daily motivation straight to your phone, free of charge every single day. You want to get that, hit me at my number. Actually, I just told you that. That's daily motivation. And Work on Your Game University.com. That's where you can get my coaching programs. You can work with me directly. Again, that's Work on Your Game University.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.